So if you're watching this in the replay and you have any questions for me, just email me, dan@cooperstowncrossfit.com. I'm on here at least once a day with some health and fitness ideas, tips, strategies, motivation. I'm just going to ramble for a little bit, let some people hop on here after a pretty good time to get people on here. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hey Sarah Elizabeth, how are you? I'm a CrossFit coach. I own a gym here in Oneonta. Maybe I'll put a box underneath this so you can actually see what I'm doing. So bear with me now. Little box here to set up on. So hopefully you can see my office is a little bit of a mess. I'm really slamming the whole business thing right now. Really busy, but it's chained to my desk today, and I wanted to get on here and share some strategies how to survive when you're chained to your desk all day long. Most people now, at least in the U.S., we've got jobs where we're sitting at a desk a lot of the time. You may even have a job where you're driving a lot. So any type of sitting, if you want to be healthy and if you want to be an athlete or just be pain-free, you're going to have to do some really serious work and be diligent in taking care of your problems from sitting so that it doesn't become a chronic issue. So I want to just hop on here today with some strategies, how to survive if you're a desk jockey, or you know, some of this you can apply if you've got a job, if you're a delivery man, a delivery woman, mail carrier, and you're in a vehicle all day long, bus driver, you name it. But I just want to get on here and share some of these ideas. So the first thing we want to do, I call it, you want to sit like an athlete, or even if you're not an athlete, you want to sit like you give a fuck, because your body is the most important asset that you've got. If your body starts to fall apart, you can't really perform as a business owner, as an employee, as a husband, as a wife. So you really need to take care of your body. So here I am chained to my desk, but I'm being really conscious of keeping my shoulders resting on top of my rib cage. So my rib cage is actually a support structure my shoulders can rest on. There's an entire procedure I go through, and I'll show you that right now. Let me spin this camera around and get some room so you can see what I'm talking about. Whenever I sit down, I go through what I call a bracing sequence. So hopefully you can see my chair. I just took a second part-time job, so I'll be working somewhere between 16 and 17 hours a day. Hey Chi-Town Chubb, hopefully that works out for you. What can I do to keep myself energized? Start your own business, because if you're working those kind of hours, you can start your own business, and you know, if you're working that kind of hours, you'll make more money as a business person. So find something you're passionate about, and you'll be inspired to take care of yourself. You'll be motivated every day. So you know, I know probably right now you're like, start a business? What the hell are you talking about? But if you're working those kind of hours, you should own a business, because working those hours for somebody else, you're killing yourself. So if you're going to work those kind of hours, start your own business. Find something you're passionate about. Find something that you can deliver value to people, and you will find a way. You will make a way. And if you need help finding what business works for you, I would talk to a life coach, talk to a mentor, talk to somebody that you know that's a business owner, and see what it's going to take to get you started, because I really don't want you working for somebody else, working those kind of hours. But thanks for the question, Chi-Town Chubb. I really appreciate you hopping on here. You've been on here a lot of times, and I really appreciate your input. But really, honestly, that's the best advice I can give you. If you're going to work those kind of hours, start your own business. All right. So how do we sit like an athlete? How do we sit like we give a fuck? Here's my chair. I'm going to be chained to my desk for hours, right? So before I even sit down, I'm going to stand up nice and tall. I'm going to externally rotate my knees. So you see how my knees kind of turn out to the side? My toes are pointing forward. My knees are externally rotated. I'm squeezing my butt a little bit, squeezing my belly a little bit. My belly's a little tight. And I'm resting my shoulders on top of my rib cage. When I sit down, my entire body is supported and I'm stable. I can show you in profile as well. But this is how we move as an athlete when we're training. Why not apply those same movement patterns to a bad position? If you're going to be stuck in a seat for a long time, make the most out of that. Whenever I see somebody with bad posture, I say, hey, if you don't fix that, you are practicing to get injured. So you want to use posture to help support whatever you're doing athletically, but also to support yourself just throughout your day, to support yourself as a healthy human being. So yeah, bad posture, you're practicing for an injury. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's look at it in profile, all right? So I'm going to be standing right in front of my chair, toes pointing forward. I externally rotate my knees, tight butt, tight belly, and I sit down with my shoulders resting on top of my rib cage. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Practice that right now. If you have any questions about how to sit like an athlete or sit like you give a fuck, just type a comment in there. Hey Dan, I'm not quite understanding, and I'll go more in depth with it. Here's the next piece. So, you've already set up, you're sitting like you give a fuck, you're sitting like an athlete. Now, it's going to break down over time. That's okay. You know, your day is long. Chaitan Chubb, you're working lots of hours. Hopefully you're not stuck at a desk for 16, 17 hours, but sitting for an extended period of time, it's going to break down and you're going to start falling apart. What I recommend is you get a timer on your desktop. So you can have one that just has a visual timer or some auditory, like if you're in a private office where you're not going to annoy your coworkers, get something that makes noise. So I work for myself. I can make all the goddamn noise I want. So here's a little timer. Let me flip this around. I set it for 15 seconds, but here it is. It's going off. So you're going to get an auditory with this. There's also a visual that pops up in the corner, okay? So I would recommend setting it for, instead of 15 seconds, every 15 minutes, set your timer, okay? And so I got my timer going. And what I will do, it goes off again, I will go through that bracing sequence again. I will sit down again. I'll stand up. I will sit down again like an athlete. I'll sit like I give a fuck. So give yourself that timer. Put something on your desktop. You could have a little egg timer from home. Just every 15 minutes, reset. Stand up, stretch your legs or whatever, stretch your neck, stretch your arms out, and then go through that bracing sequence. I'll show you again if anybody missed it. I'll show you again at the end how to brace yourself and sit like you're an athlete or sit like you give a fuck. Sitting is really, really bad for us, and it does damage. Every day you're doing a little more damage, a little more damage. So if we can address that daily, we're going to reverse the damage from sitting. So we've got sitting like an athlete. We've got the timer set up. Another option is just to get up and walk around. So if you're working in office with other coworkers and you've got projects where you're working with them, don't email them, don't text them, don't call them. Go to their workstation and work with them right one-on-one. I spent 7 years at an engineering firm, and we would have a conference table. So when we had projects, we would take advantage of that space and meet up, or I'd go to my coworkers' workstations. I was doing electrical design. We had guys designing fire alarm systems, guys designing air handling systems, guys designing plumbing systems, et cetera, et cetera. And so we would integrate everything. And so I took advantage of that. I would go to their workstation, or I'd say, hey, can you come and meet me at the conference room? And we'd be around a table, and we'd be on our feet, making everything work, synchronizing everything, bringing all the systems in alignment. So I'd recommend if you are working with other coworkers, it's a great time. It kind of gets your brain moving again, to share ideas with coworkers. I'm much better, I'm much more productive when I am communicating with other people. It's part of the reason I do Periscope, because I get really inspired sharing ideas with you guys. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So give me some hearts if you like this stuff. If you have questions, hop in, chime in. So that's another strategy. Get up and move around. If you're in an office situation and you've got coworkers, go meet up with them, all right? Another option, get a standing desk. Standing, just like sitting, is a skill. So we want to stand like an athlete, just like we want to sit like an athlete. So you can do your bracing sequence, and instead of sitting down, you stand. But depending on your situation, if you're a self-employed business owner, you can get yourself a standing desk. Why I don't have one, I don't know. I'm actually wondering right now, why don't I have a standing desk? Great question. But if you're working for somebody else, they may or may not be in support of you getting a standing desk. So another option is to split your time between your seated desk, your seated workstation, and a higher surface that you can work on. And so when I get really fed up with sitting, I will come out into my gym, and I'll flip the camera around. I have this little storage unit that's actually a very comfortable height for me to work at. So let me flip this camera around. So I'm going to chop off my head here, but you can see this is actually a fairly comfortable height for me to work at. So you may have something in your office that you can use to go and do some standing work. And it doesn't have to be forever. Say you've got a phone call and there's a shelf or something. When you're on that phone call taking notes, use that shelf, stand up and take your notes. Stand like an athlete, all right? Toes forward, externally rotate your knees, tight butt, tight belly, shoulders resting on your rib cage. Like I said earlier, if we're using bad posture, we are practicing for an injury. So you want to have really good posture. That's going to help sustain you throughout your day and throughout the years to come. I really want to see everyone become more healthy, more capable, less pain, and less limiting factors in your health and your fitness. So hopefully that made sense. I've got a lot more stuff to share with you. I'm on here at least once a day with some health and fitness tips. I own a CrossFit gym, so this is my gym. So I own a CrossFit gym here in Oneonta, New York. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Dan, at Cooperstown CrossFit. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. I actually have a young lady that's following me that I just wrote her. She sent me an update on how her progress has been, and I just sent her an email with some motivation and some strategies to keep her motivated. She's already making some really great changes in her life just from some of the ideas I've shared here on Periscope, and I just wanted to get her motivated even more and more fired up. So hopefully that made sense. So for those of you just tuning in, just talking today, I'm sitting at my desk for a lot of the day, and sitting is pretty much toxic. So there's some strategies you can use to take care of yourself and make sure you don't get injured sitting and get some long-term health problems and structural issues from sitting. Number one, sit like you're an athlete. Sit like you give a fuck, all right? So I want you to stand up, externally rotate your knees, squeeze your butt tight, squeeze your belly tight, and sit down with really good posture. Let your shoulders rest on top of your rib cage. Let your arms just be supported by this really strong structure of your rib cage. That's why it's there. That's one of the reasons it's there. So you want to really take advantage of it. Hello. You really want to take advantage of what you've got. So your rib cage is there to help support your shoulders, so use it. Bad posture, you're practicing for an injury. I want you to reset that position every 15 minutes. So set a desktop timer. You can get apps and put them on your computer, on your workstation. If you're not comfortable doing that or you're not allowed to install apps on your desktop, put an app on your phone or get a little egg timer from home. If you're working in an area where there's other coworkers, you don't want to annoy them, I would recommend a little visual app on your phone. Or if you're working for yourself or you have a private office, go ahead and get something that makes noise, all right? But I want you to reset every 15 minutes. Stand up, shake everything out, go through your bracing sequence, and sit back down. Sit like an athlete, sit like you give a fuck. The next option would be to get a standing desk. And if that's not going to work, split your time between your desk and go and meet up with your coworkers, review projects that you're sharing with them, walk around. You'll know what is acceptable in your office situation. So, get a feel for what you're able to do, how much movement you can do throughout your day, and then if that's not working, find a place where you can stand and do some work and split your time between sitting and standing. So hopefully that helps. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. If you have any questions or if you're watching this in the replay, you can reach out to me, Dan, at Cooperstown CrossFit. Be more than happy to help you out. I'm on here at least once a day with some health and fitness tips. So here's my notes for those who missed it. Sit like an athlete, or at least sit like you give a fuck. Reset your seated position every 15 minutes. Install a desktop timer app, or put an app on your phone. Every 15 minutes that timer will go off. Get up and walk to your coworkers, meet with your coworkers, work on projects. That'll give you a chance to move around. Get a standing desk or split your time between your seated desk and a taller area where you can stand and work. So, watching. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Chite Down Chubb, if you're still on here. Hopefully that idea didn't blow your mind, but that's what inspired me to open my business. I was working 14, 15, 16 hours a day, and I finally realized if I'm working that many hours, I can do that for myself and probably make out better. So hopefully that helps you. Definitely find a life coach or a mentor in your area. You may know somebody that is a successful business owner, and talk to them. Say, hey, I'm looking at a second job. I'm going to be working 16, 17-hour days. Doesn't make sense. I'm more passionate about X. I really feel like I could be more successful doing X, whatever that is, whatever you're crazy about. How do I start a business? Business owners are going to support you. They're going to be really excited because there's not a lot of us out there. Very few businesses ever succeed. So business owners really like to see entrepreneurs. They like, entrepreneurs really thrive off of other entrepreneurs. They like sharing ideas. I just had a meeting yesterday with another businessman here in town sharing some marketing ideas, and he spent a good 20 minutes with me. He's very successful, very busy, but we're bouncing ideas back and forth in ways that we have some synergy between our businesses. I'm like, this guy's brilliant. It was really kind of fun to hang out with him, share some ideas, and say, I'm kind of in alignment. I'm kind of doing some stuff that's a little different, but we're pretty much doing the same exact kind of things. So entrepreneurs and business owners are really supportive of other entrepreneurs and other business owners. So Chi-Town Chubb, if you're still on, don't work for somebody else those kind of hours. If you've got a really great career and you love what you're doing, that's fantastic. But 16, 17 hours a day, you could do that for yourself and do a lot better. So thanks for tuning in. I'll be on again tomorrow with some more health and fitness tips. Today we're just talking about how to survive as a desk jockey. If you missed it, watch the replay. You can give hearts in the replay, and then I'll also put this up on YouTube and share it around too. So hopefully you guys like it, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.